Good Thursday afternoon, guys. Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille Show. Thank you kindly for joining us. We are live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network. So much to cover today in the Thursday edition of the I Love CVille Show, including welcoming a guest that you guys have known quite well on this network, and Steve Harvey. We will welcome him to the program in about 15 or 20 seconds. Very excited to get some news out there yesterday about Bronco Mendenhall's house hitting the market. That house, a ranch-style house on 28 acres in Albemarle County, for a cool asking price of $4,875,000. Bronco Mendenhall, the former Virginia football coach, now in a transitionary period of his life, has a estate-style home with 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, 6,800 square feet of living, again on over 28 acres in Ivy, Virginia. One of the Tony aspects, one of the Tony areas of Albemarle County. We'll follow that listing closely. We'll talk about it more tomorrow on the I Love CVille Show, but much of today is going to be saved for Steve Harvey. You know him as perhaps a realtor. You may know him as a candidate who challenged Ann Malik in the Whitehall District for Board of Supervisors. Steve Harvey is running again, this time in 2023. Judah Wickower is our director. Let's go to the two-shot, and let's welcome Steve to the program. Good afternoon, Steve.
Thanks for having me on again, Jerry. I am super excited about this upcoming election. I know it's out in 2023, but there's something in the atmosphere. I saw this recent poll that more Republicans are comfortable announcing that they're Republicans, and something like the national shift from, I think it was 43% willing to admit that they're Republican, and now it's up to something like 49%.
Well, you have been not shy to broadcast from the tip tops of the tallest peaks in Whitehall to the tip tops of the tallest peaks of Carter's Mountain, Child's Orchard, that you are a Republican.
Yeah, and I've been Republican my whole life, but I've never been as proud of it as I am now. And I think we made it through a really hard time as conservatives, as Republicans, all the nastiness that we were smeared with that happened here in Charlottesville. I think that we're through it. I think that the American people have seen that, look, you need to have legislators that believe in systems that take into account human motivation. That's the basis for most Republican legislation, is people respond to incentives, and you need to take that into account anytime you're legislating anything. And more people are getting on board with that. More and more people are seeing that our rights and constitutional rights are being infringed on, or, at least they're testing the edges. They're seeing what they can get away with. And this is the tip of the spear for them. Albemarle County has enacted the most extreme anti-gun legislation that you can enact in the state of Virginia. The most extreme. That's where you live. If you're in Albemarle, you're in the most extreme locality in the state of Virginia for gun grabbing.
We've talked gun legislation the last time you were on the show. I want to bring that up again. Before I do, I want to talk something that I discussed earlier this week. Made sure to give you credit for sending it to me via the email inbox. And that's a survey that's circulating around Albemarle County. Interestingly, it has yet to truly penetrate the traditional media cycle. I do expect it will. Neil Williamson has put this on folks' radar as well. I'm going to get out of your way. A survey. First, the cliff notes of the survey, Steve Harvey.
Neil put this on my radar. So
he's watching now.
Neil, how's it going?
Yeah.
I rely on Neil's watchdogness or position to. He writes such clear, concise articles that get right to the heart of the issue that I can send his material out to interested parties and they'll get the whole picture. And I don't have to follow up and give them a whole bunch of backstory because it's already in the article. And so I rely on Neil for his assessment of the government, and also the quotes he gets from our supervisors are many times quite horrifying. But let's stick with the taxes for now.
Yeah, let's stick with that.
I think that 3 years ago when I first ran for Board of Supervisors, we talked about the TOT. And we talked about how the money was being spent.
Transit occupancy tax.
And how it was being misallocated, misappropriated, and that the government here was taking apart a system that was sold on a lie. They said that we're going to put together this board, it's a marketing and tourism board, and that's going to be filled with marketing professionals and experts that are going to increase your bottom line.
The board is the Charlottesville Albemarle Convention Visitors Bureau,
Yes.
CACVB.
And I've been reached out to by multiple people that used to be on this board saying the government came in, they pulled out all the actual marketeers that were making sure that, we got more business in Charlottesville.
The experts.
The experts, the actual marketing experts, they pulled them out of that system and they jammed in their friends or whoever.
Bureaucrats.
They jammed it in with bureaucrats and now they want more money. What a huge surprise that when it was operated by a bunch of professional, business people, they were getting by with the 4% without asking for anything else. Shove in some bureaucrats, 2 years later, we need to double it. Or 50% they're asking for, an increase in taxes by 50%?
The TOT is a 50% possible increase, Currently, the TOT rate is 5%. The maximum rate allowable is not defined, but 2% must go to tourism marketing. The meals tax, the most concerning. Currently, the meals tax in Albemarle County is 4% with a maximum taxing authority of 6%. I have the survey in front of me. So the meals tax could legitimately increase by 50%. This could go into play fiscal year 2023, which begins July 1, 2022. Steve Harvey, the show's yours.
So, SteveHarveyVirginia.com. If you own one of these businesses, and they're probably going to hand jam this right through, right? We sent this out. I sent this to every business owner I know in the locality, in the area, even outside the area, because it's going to affect more than just the people in Albemarle County. Probably negatively. Even if you're in Greene or Louisa, people won't come if the prices keep going up. We already rarely do we eat in Charlottesville anymore because it's so expensive. And they're talking about increasing the tax on that. And they have not given me a good reason either. If you read through the survey, it's almost like they're assuming, of course, we need to increase this. If you read through it, the tone is, if we increase it, what do you think of us spending it on this? Guys, it was presented as we're going to bring in more business and get more tax revenue. That's what TOT was presented as. And meals tax was more, going to cover some costs and stuff. But the TOT thing was, we're going to build an organization that brings more business to Virginia, to Charlottesville, or Albemarle. We're not going to have to raise your real estate taxes because all this extra business is going to come in here. They haven't done any of that. It's always all the above. When you have 6 people on the Board of Supervisors that are all the same political persuasion, that agree fundamentally on how big the government should be, which is enormous, and they're just voting yes. They just vote yes. This survey, I hope that they take it seriously, the result of it, because I don't think that there are many business owners post-COVID that are like, yes, I can afford a 50% tax increase right now.
I think those are good points. I do want to emphasize this. The meals tax is passed to the customer. It's not absorbed by the business owner. Now, from the business owner's perspective, the business owner, say a restaurant owner, does have to justify with his or her customers why the bill is so expensive. So the concern with a restaurateur is if the meals tax goes up, the price of dining gets so expensive, they will lose customers because they cannot afford to dine. There's also the regressive nature of increased taxes in that they impact individuals, families that are living on the financial margin more so than individuals that are deep-pocketed. We'll go to LinkedIn for the first question. Friend of the program, Lee Elberson, is watching. He's a multiple business owner. He says, Steve, don't laws reflect the desire of constituents? Different geographies can and should vary depending on the local political temperature. Extreme is a matter of perspective.
Sure. Yeah. I guess, say, if you were in Germany in the 30s or Mao Zedong's China in the 50s, you'd look at here and you'd say, that's not extreme. They're just taking away some guns. I mean, they're killing people down the street just for having glasses. That's what they did in China. If you had glasses, they killed you. So yes, it is relative. They would look at us and say, oh, it's not extreme at all. They're barely doing anything to you guys. They're just strapping masks on your kids and saying that you have to have them in masks at school.
I will say this. I think you mean that somewhat tongue-in-cheek.
A little bit.
And hyperbolized a bit.
I do.
A colorful language there. I want to throw this to you here. What are your thoughts on Albemarle County has got a budget of just north of $400 million to run, okay? Inflation, supply chain issues, labor shortages, cost of goods increases, et cetera, has made jurisdictions more expensive to run. So they need to find ways to increase revenue for the jurisdictions. This, in the eyes of the Board of Supervisors, I'm talking for the sake of a talk show, is a measure that they may need to do to keep the jurisdiction running appropriately and keeping it afloat.
So, Jerry, I don't think that it would be appropriate to have 6 of me on the Board of Supervisors.
Okay.
Because that would not represent our constituency here very well.
Okay.
However, the fact that there's nobody like you or me on the Board of Supervisors is a tragedy, and it's causing the escalation that we see in the costs here for government. You said we're up to just over 400.
Yeah,
so,
yearly budget
yep.
for Albemarle County.
So if we go and look, this analysis was done in 2020, but we've had in the last 20 years, I think a 31% increase in population, or an increase in 13.5% in school population. And we've had a 70% increase in the budget of the local government. So either they need to admit that inflation has been going gangbusters, and that's why they need to charge 70% of what they charged 20 years ago.
Or the alternative is?
Or bloated government, I would say. If you have a population that increases by 30% and you have a budget that increases by 70%, you've got a government that isn't appropriately functioning. That's basic.
What do you see as and folks, if you have questions, perspective, you want to relay to Steve Harvey on air, please put them in the feed. Neil Williamson on my personal Facebook page in the comment section has shared background from 2018 on this, I don't want to call it a debacle, but this storyline. The story he shared was government tourism coup will produce poor political palpable promotion and pitiful profitability. Neil, that's some tremendous alliteration right there from you, sir. I'm sure you enjoyed writing that headline. What's the collateral damage from a meals tax potentially increasing 50%? And what's the collateral damage in your eyes from the transit occupancy tax potentially increasing multiple percentage points?
I see just more in the future, more taxes, less people coming here, less people staying in the hotels. I listened to your broadcast a couple days ago, and you're talking about other revenue streams. Uh-huh. And this is the opposite of that. This really is the opposite of that. This is destroying the goose with the golden egg. That's what this area is.
What's the goose with the golden egg here?
Beautiful, beautiful area. That's the golden egg right there. Or the goose is the beautiful area, and we're slaughtering it for some short-term gains. Like, really, if it's so expensive that when you come here, you leave and you think, man, I probably, I'll want to come back because it's so pretty, but maybe we skip next year. That becomes a mindset. We come here probably a quarter of what we used to 4 years ago.
You're talking your family?
Yeah,
to the
my
city of
family. My
Charlottesville.
family. We used to come here all the time, and we're being priced out of the market.
I'm going to ask Judah your comment to close the show from a few days ago about this topic. about pricing and the expensive nature of the area, because I thought you put it very succinctly at the end of the program. So brainstorm what you said there. I thought it was very beautiful and very well put. Let's continue the discussion here. So the transit occupancy tax is a tax on tourists. It is a tax on people visiting the area. As someone who is fiscally conservative with money, socially liberal with ideology, fiscally conservative with money, I do not mind a transit occupancy tax that is taxing tourists who come to our area.
Transient.
What's that?
Transient.
Thank you, transient. That are looking to spend money in vacation setting
Yeah.
and then leave. They're not taxing our schools. They're not taxing our roads. They're not taxing our infrastructure. They're just coming here, spending money, and leaving. Now, I am in 100% agreement with you, Steve Harvey, about the meals tax. The meals tax is undoubtedly a tax on locals. Your family, my family, Judah's family, the constituents of Whitehall, the constituents of the Scottsville District, Rivanna, Jack Jewett, Samuel Miller. These are the people that go out and patronize and support the restaurants and keep them afloat through good times and through bad times. So the meals tax I see as regressive. I also want to echo your thoughts, and it's one of my aspects of my platform, of incremental tax revenue sources. I've emphasized so many times the sports tourism nature that's missing from this community. And I've also emphasized an action plan for Biscuit Run that is a park that is sitting vacant in the urban ring.
Jared,
Ignored.
this is exactly what I'm talking about. If you've got a problem with the amount of revenue being generated by TOT, then you need to figure out a way to bring more people so that you're getting more money from your TOT. Not, let's just, we're not getting enough now because not enough people are staying. Let's just charge them more so that we get more money. That's not a solution to this. You'll just get less people coming here. So incremental forms of tax revenue, bringing in more. You can't disassemble the marketing apparatus that was supposed to be driving more people here to offset the cost of the TOT and then say we need more money in TOT. You can't have a 70% increase in the revenues for the county with $10 to $15 million over budget every single year is the money that they're taking from the taxpayers in this area, and then creating more programs to backfill it so that they need more money next time. This is just another cash grab. This is just for the last 15 years, it's been consistent. We can get more, let's take more, as long as we can get away with it. Your commenter, I don't recall his name, is exactly right. Everything is relative. And in this area, they've been relatively crazy with increasing the size of government because there's very little pushback. And when there is pushback, it's ignored. I've been to dozens, 50, 70 Board of Supervisor meetings since I moved here.
You're very engaged.
Like a lot of these meetings.
You participate at probably one of the highest clips of anyone except for, say, Neil or a Sean Tubbs.
Yeah.
You're right in that next echelon. No one can ever say that Steve Harvey is not an engaged constituent or taxpayer. That is safe to say.
Yeah.
You've led peaceful protests.
Actual peaceful
protests, right?
Yeah,
against
legislative action that these Board of Supervisors are taking that are unconstitutional
You've run for office. I mean, so okay, folks can say stuff about Steve Harvey. They cannot say that he's not engaged.
Yeah, I put my time where my mouth is.
You do. I will give you that. Let me throw this to you here. Neil, we'll get to your comment here. Joe Duquette, welcome to the program. So you got some people watching. You got some people participating. Judah, I want to get your succinct perspective in here as well. So have that 3-shot, my friend, ready to rock and roll here shortly. Meals tax. The meals tax's uptick. How do you see that damaging business, economy, voters, and the area?
It will continue to exacerbate what my family already experienced. We don't really come into town that often to eat anymore. We go to Ruckersville.
Okay. So
Like,
you're not even staying in Albemarle.
We live in Albemarle County, but by 400 or 500 meters, something like that. We're close to Green. And when you pull out, you pull up to 29 from Frays Mill Road, and it's left or right, and it's meals tax or no meals tax. If there was a Thai 99 in Ruckersville, Thai 99 owner, we would be going there. Just to be totally honest, Albemarle is just squeezing the cheese, and pretending it's a rock. But, I don't know. It seems like more of a bad thing, They didn't manage the money right last time. They're not going to manage the money anymore right this time. They talk all the time about affordable housing. The housing has never been as unaffordable as it is right now.
That's 100% true.
Whatever their program is, you can expect the opposite. And so when they say, well, meals tax is going to help fund whatever the word is after that, no, probably not that. Probably some friends they have that needed to get some more money into the Visitors Bureau or something like that. It's not honest. This is not an honest questionnaire because it didn't go out to anybody I know. Not a single business owner that I sent it to got that email.
Dude, I am as engaged and follow these storylines as anyone in this community because of this talk show, and I had no idea about this if it wasn't for you.
If it wasn't for Neil,
and if it wasn't from Neil for you, and Neil is as engaged as anyone. So I will agree and give you props for this, because this seems to be a smoke and mirror survey, or one of those surveys where like, hey, we sent the survey out, we try to engage the community, but no one participated. The reality is if no one knows the survey exists, how can they participate with the survey?
Exactly.
That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
And I'm going to give you, dude, I agree with you on that. I very much agree with you that. More comments coming in. Katie Pearl, who's a realtor, we'll get to her comments here in a matter of moments. Judah Whitcower, do you have that 3-shot ready to go with your succinct comments from the other day? Why don't we get J-Dubs in the mix? Judah, the show is yours here, my friend.
All right. I think the other day I said something about pricing people out of actually living in here in this city, town, whatever you want to call it, and I had a thought. Why not just turn Charlottesville into an amusement park? I mean, if nobody can live here, then it just becomes a tourist trap, and you got what you said. There's no cap on the TOT tax, right?
The TOT, no.
I thought it was 6%.
No, actually, no, there is no cap. So the current TOT rate is 5%. The maximum rate allowable is not defined, but 2% of it must go to tourism marketing. So that's the only caveat.
The point is they could go as high as they want, get as much money as they want, and just, milk the people who want to come into Charlottesville and spend their money when the rest of us have to go buy houses somewhere else.
Okay. Katie Pearl, we'll get to your comment here. She's a realtor. I want to get your take on the housing. I think one thing we need to emphasize here, and this is a different jurisdiction, but currently there's this massive $75 million to $100 million project in the city of Charlottesville called school reconfiguration. And to fund school reconfiguration over this 4 or 5 period of time through the CIP, they're going to have to raise the real estate tax rate. And the idea for school reconfiguration is equity with schools, closing the educational gap. What the forest through the trees or not seeing aspect of this is, if you raise the tax rate so high with real estate in the city of Charlottesville, you are not creating equity. You're creating a 10.2 square mile area of rich homeowners. So this school reconfiguration project that is going to take 5 years to do.
Five
Years to do. By the time we get to those 5 years, how many people have we priced out of the city of Charlottesville that can't afford to live in the city of Charlottesville? So we're in a lot of ways gentrifying the city and doing equity for folks that are already wealthy. But that's it. I regress. Let's get to comments here. This is from Katie Pearl, a colleague of yours, and by colleague I mean she's also an agent. Okay, one of Keller Williams' finest. I very much appreciate Kelly Pearl quite a bit on the show. My husband and I love to eat out. but it has become cost prohibitive to do with our family. Combined with the inflation of food prices, this additional tax would probably put the nail in the coffin for our family of 6, soon to be 7, to enjoy local restaurants. And way to go, Steve Harvey, on bringing this to light for everybody.
Katie, congratulations on your soon-to-be 7. And
She's a Hall of Famer, right?
I know, she's crushing it.
Yeah.
Crushing the sales, crushing the babies. We actually have number 4 on the way. Harvey 04 is inbound.
Harvey
So,
04 is inbound.
yeah.
So, Katie, and help me here. Moving from Green, is it close to you?
They're moving right across the street from us.
Okay.
I see their construction every day.
Okay, so this is a potential voter here.
Oh yeah.
For Steve Harvey in 2023. What are your constituents saying? What are the folks in the Whitehall saying about this? Do folks in Whitehall, does this resonate with them? Because are folks in Whitehall patronizing restaurants as much as, say, a Samuel Miller, as much as a Jack Jewett, as much as a Scottsville district? And I'm just asking to get educated from you.
That's a tough question. I know since we moved more rural, we have spent consistently less time, largely because of expense, outside the city. And a lot of people I know are spending more and more time in Ruckersville, not Standardsville yet, but maybe Ruckersville, maybe a little bit Madison. They head up there to Yoder's and whatnot for the chicken special or whatever they've got going on up there. And now there's going to be a new Chick-fil-A that's outside the county.
A lot of competition.
There's going to be a huge amount of competition. But for Katie Pearl's point, I think that she is hitting the nail on the head. That's exactly right. She's one of many, many families that make that cost-benefit analysis and are going to decide not to come down. That's money coming straight out of the coffers of people that live in Albemarle County, and it's a legislative decision. And this is going to be bad PR because everybody knows the cost of going out to eat has gone up tremendously. Inflation, cost of food, some of it's China's influence. I don't know if you know about pork. I can tell you a lot about pork.
Tell us about pork.
You want to know about pork?
I'd love to know about pork.
2.5 years ago, I was at a Military Officers Association of America meeting. And as a special guest speaker, we had the head negotiator for the Trump administration to China as the speaker. Which, that's just a sort of random neat thing. Head negotiator, who knew who that was? And he's sitting at the table with me. We ended up talking for an hour about how the negotiations were going, how bogged down everything was. But the conversation turned to pork about 10 times over the course of an hour. It's the primary protein they eat in China, and they had the swine flu come through China and exterminate roughly 80% of all the swine in the country of China, and that's their primary protein. So what did they do? Do you know what they did?
Tell us.
They came to America. They bought most of Smithfield. They bought they bought a huge number of swine herds, of swine factories, like the whole industry. They took a chunk out of the whole thing. Now, when you go to buy bacon, it costs twice as much as it did last year.
It's quite expensive, bacon.
Twice as much. They don't talk about inflation being 50, 100%. They talk about it being 7 to 10%, right? Your pork costs twice as much as it did last year. That's bad government. That's bad. Like, they had to take some sort of protectionist action here. If you're actually if you eat your bacon now, I want everybody, think of this next time you have your bacon. Does it taste like there's a ligament or there's a little bit of texture that's wrong to it? You're not getting center cut bacon if you live in the United States anymore. You're getting the end cut. It's worse, and somebody in China is eating your crispy bacon.
Steve Harvey.
I'm 100%.
I do not doubt you about bacon. The man knows his bacon, and the man does not want to mess around with his crispy.
That's my bacon.
Do you like your bacon crispy?
Super crispy.
He likes it super crispy. Judah, how do you like your bacon?
Oh man,
American.
American. I like it crispy. Unburnt.
Unburnt,
crispy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Keep the carbon off it. I don't know.
I like the same. So Bill McChesney watching the program. The hidden meals tax. If you go to Sam's and buy one of their tasty rotisserie chickens, you pay the county meals tax
Is that true?
because it is prepared item. It is takeout. I did not know that.
I didn't
so
know
let's
that.
repeat that for Bill. Let's repeat that from Bill. Bill, you're dropping knowledge bombs here.
Oh.
I don't doubt Bill. Bill, you've never led me wrong. Did anybody know this?
I didn't know it.
The hidden meals tax. If you go to Sam's Club and buy one of their tasty rotisserie chickens, you pay the county meals tax because it is a prepared item takeout. And he says you won't have any families but wealthy ones on the door, on the hook in Albemarle County if we keep doing this. And he said Tyson is building a bacon factory in the United States. So that's on your. Did you know that about Sam's and the
I didn't know that.
prepared food goes to the meals tax? I did not know that.
I assumed the pizza and the soda and all that stuff at the Costco
Yeah,
entrance or
right.
whatever.
The
but-
cafeteria part.
Yeah, I assumed that. But you go into the grocery store, you pick up items off the shelf, and then they're slipping. Does it say meals tax on your receipt?
Oh, so Bill, offer some perspective, and other watchers and listeners, offer perspective on this, please. Put it
Yeah.
in the feed. You're educating us. Georgia Gilmer is watching the program. She routinely contributes to the show. She says bacon at $10 a pound. He's correct, and it's not the same tasting bacon.
It's worse bacon, I'm telling you. I'm not exaggerating. I have it right from the horse's or the pig's mouth, whatever it is. I was astonished when I heard the story, and I thought, like everybody thought with everything Trump related, well, how true is that? You know, like could it be that bad? He said we're going to see double, triple, quadruple the price of pork. And it's been a year, it's been 2 years, and we're at double. So he's not wrong.
Neil Williamson watching the program. We encourage everyone watching the show to check out the Free Enterprise Forum. For what it's worth, Crozet soccer dad and local attorney Don Long mentioned sports tourism in his remarks before the Board of Supervisors yesterday in Matters from the Public. So I understand the platform we have. I will continue driving home sports tourism. You, as a father of soon-to-be 4, right, a graduate of Notre Dame, understand the value of sports. And dude, we have UVA in our backyard.
I was a triple letterman in high school.
Okay, so you understand the value of sports as well
Yeah,
here.
We need sports, and it's a great. I love your idea of tournaments, of bringing in extra funds.
Yeah.
I mean, my primary platform here is they're already taking enough, they're trying to take more, and we need a voice on the Board of Supervisors that's going to say, hey, we need the other side of the argument. We need some kind of balance, we need some conversation and debate in there, and we're not getting that. If you came in and you were, hey, I think this might be a good idea, let's call in the Visitors and Tourism Board, let's see what they think of trying to get, what's the cost going to be of that, how can we promote it, what's that 2% going for already from the TOT, maybe it should be shifted to a board that brings in those kind of wrestling tournament, like whatever kind of tournament. Soccer is probably the best, I would think, because
They're all good. They're all good. We don't want to marginalize any
yeah,
sports.
but
They're all
soccer,
good.
no equipment, you don't have to pay for it, it's just a field.
Judah, thoughts over here on anything we're covering?
I'm all for bringing in money to the area from outside. I mean, people come in from New York, and they're used to paying $2,000 a month for a one-bedroom apartment. They don't care or know that they're paying more for their hot dog or whatever at the park or the arena. So why not get it there, and why not build the infrastructure and everything that we need so that we can take advantage of that? Because there's a balance in tax. If you go too high, then you end up losing money. Nobody's gonna buy. Nobody's gonna go out and visit the restaurants, and eventually people are just gonna move somewhere else. And if you go low, then oftentimes you get people coming out and spending more money. And so there's that there's that bell curve of like, if you you obviously
It's a
can't
balance.
Yeah, you can't go too low with taxes, but if you go low enough, people spend more and you make more in taxes. If you go too high, then you just end up cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Judah Wickower dropping knowledge here. Neil Williamson on the prepared foods topic. This is knowledge here. I did not know this. So again, with this show, how often do we say after we do the show, J-Dubs, that we learn so much from the folks we're chatting with? So this is
Neil.
Especially Neil. Agreed. Especially Neil. This is verbatim from how would I call this? Title 58.1 point taxation. So this is the law here. And this is verbatim from the law. Grocery stores and convenience stores selling prepared foods ready for human consumption at deli counters shall be subject to the tax for that portion of the grocery store or convenience store selling such items. And then Neil adds, this means 7-Eleven nachos as well. Did you have any idea about that? I had no idea.
I don't know if I've ever purchased 7-Eleven nachos.
But you've purchased stuff from a deli, T.
But we just finished eating a rotisserie chicken from Sam's Club.
There you go.
And, you know, in retrospect, it didn't taste as good. There's a disconnect. I'm going to keep on pounding this. The most rural representative that we have is my opponent.
Yeah, Ann.
And
Supervisor Malik, excuse me.
The stuff that she says and the positions that she takes are just constantly anti-rural and like a disconnect with an understanding there. So now they're talking about changing building codes so that your barn has to comply to county building codes.
What's that mean? Talk to me about that.
Buildings,
Offer that in very layman's terms here.
Buildings under current law do not have to meet minimum requirements of the building code, according to Campner. Campner said the agricultural community and the Farm Bureau would need to be involved in this decision. I can tell you they're not going to be involved because they'll all say no. This is talking about if you have a farm and a barn, a couple of outbuildings, and you decide to have a political fundraiser or a wedding or just some events with some friends over, and the county is going to step in and say, no, you don't have a guardrail on that barn. You need to put in a special ramp for that outbuilding. The parking is not situated for disabled Americans, or like whatever regs. They're coming into farmland and barns and now trying to enact it. And the representative for the rural folks, if people want to put a tractor or livestock in some building, that's different than having people there. The people aren't in the barn all day. The cows and the tractor are in the barn all day. But when I want to throw a party with my friends, I don't need to call up my supervisor to make sure that the guardrails are okay. Like, we have some basic freedom and liberty that doesn't have to be stomped on. And there's a pattern here. It was the brush burning reg that Ann wanted to put through.
That burned you up, literally and figuratively.
Oh, my goodness, 300 feet from the nearest tree? It's so elitist. You have to have 50 acres to burn some leaves or some refuse, from your farm activities that you can then use as fertilizer on the rest of your property. And they're banning it, or talking about banning it. And it's the most rural representative that's coming. The rain tax. I'll go to my grave complaining about the rain tax.
No doubt you would.
I still am to this day astonished that the rural representative presents that. And thankfully,
you should offer the background of the rain tax again for the viewers and listeners.
I don't know if they want to hear about it again. So we are 10 years ahead on our requirements for the Chesapeake Bay Renewal Foundation, Action. I don't remember the name of it. But everybody knows Chesapeake Bay needs to be cleaned up, and we put in these regs across the state. Hey, you got to make sure that you don't do this, you don't do that. And each locality was expected to take certain actions and then follow a timeline. Albemarle County is a decade ahead of schedule. My representative, the most rural representative, thought, Charlottesville just enacted a rain tax that gleaned an enormous amount of funds from everyone who had an impermeable surface in the city of That's everyone. That's the church you go to, the grocery store, your house, your driveway, your sidewalk. Every single square foot of impermeable surface got cataloged, categorized, and taxed. That's what they did in the city of Charlottesville. The churches are now paying taxes. We expect them not to put their thumb on the scale for politics, but they have to pay taxes. So Ann saw this and thought, my goodness, so much money to be had. We've got tons of impermeable surface in the county, tons of churches too, a lot of churches. You know what churches are made of? A giant parking lot and a giant building with a roof. All impermeable. We could get an enormous amount of tax revenue, rain tax revenue. They were going to charge everyone in the county for every square foot, and very difficult to calculate, by the way, when you go out to the rural areas and you're talking about
Very
part of the
difficult to-
road is
yeah.
dirt, some of the roads that were identified were actually just lines of haystacks,
Yeah.
right? So now you're sending drones out to categorize everybody's
Well, I don't
land.
think they said that. I don't think they were. Were they going to send?
They were
drones out?
joking about
Okay,
drones,
Okay,
and everybody knows
yeah.
that the joke starts it out,
Okay.
and they finish with really doing it.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
come on. Everybody knows where government goes. Oh, let's send a drone out there. 3 weeks later, is that really a drone? Anyway, so the rain tax, there was a huge pushback against it. We had dozens, 50, 100 tractors show up at the Board of Supervisor meetings with signs, you're going to
You
tax
literally
us.
did.
Yes,
Yeah, he
that
literally
happened.
did. Yeah.
They were embarrassed out of doing it. They were so embarrassed because they try to pretend like they're on the working side, the working class. That's their side. It's not. It
Then
really is not.
I'll throw this to you. Why does it? Okay, very straightforward question. Why does she keep winning?
So there was a large demographic shift when the 5% of Albemarle that's allowed to be populated got shifted to Crozet. And so Crozet exploded in population. A huge amount of people moved to Crozet. That's the reason that she's still in office. The reason she entered office is because the person that she ran against enacted a bunch of policies that she's been enacting for the last 20 years, right? He enacted some of these policies about expanding, I think it was approving some subdivisions in and around Crozet. And then he got ousted for that. And she ran on, we don't need any more of that. And then has just done that one thing exceptionally since then. I don't know how much control she had over it. There was the 10-year plan or whatever.
Yeah. That was a growth area.
Yeah, and they made it a growth area. But she ran on, that was a bad decision. And has not done anything to resist that since then, has only proliferated further.
Let me throw this to you. What's the message? Because I want to ask you about mask in schools.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling the mask in schools topic is going to be something that comes up certainly midterms, which are right around the corner.
Yeah.
And potentially.
You think midterms, it would have an impact on that? Maybe the zeitgeist, how everybody feels. I want more freedom. I want less freedom. You know.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah, that might, but there's no school board running. There's no board of supervisors running.
I think it's going to be a question that's going to be that candidates will have to address.
Yeah.
It's the topic the county is talking about now. But before we get to that topic, and Jude, I'm curious if you have anything that you want to add here. First, let me ask this to Steve. What's the message here that you want to get out to the many folks that are watching about the TOT, about the meals tax, and about, frankly, taxing in general?
TOT and meals tax, I'd say this. If you are a business owner, please find the survey. Please just answer it accurately. Make sure you read it very carefully. I learned about making surveys at Notre Dame, and we got some good work done with them. There is a whole science on how and phraseology on how you put these things together. Read it very carefully. They will switch the tense. They will switch the meaning from line to line, so that if you think I'm saying no, I don't like it, no, I don't like it, no, I don't like it. The third question is if it didn't get enacted, would you hate the reverse of that? And you read it and you go, wait a minute, what? And then okay, I'm supposed to say strongly approve of this one, not strongly disagree. Anyway, so go through and read it. Every business owner, anybody who thinks they're going to be affected by this, please fill out the survey, send it to your friends, because it needs to be an avalanche. Like we saw with the rain tax. There were dozens, maybe 100 plus people with tractors showing up that bogged down, like we're seeing in Ottawa right now. I'd love to talk about Ottawa.
So you have folks supporting you on the feed. Kevin Higgins.
Kevin?
He says Supervisor Malik is winning because of Old Trail. And he also says we need more pissed off citizens like Steve. He's going to be a supervisor one day. Kevin Higgins.
Hey, Kevin, thank you. Hopefully you're right. But it's going to be a tough row to hoe, but I see that there is a shift in momentum. Last time I ran, I broke all the records. We got 3,300 plus votes, and that was record breaking. And then Ann broke my record, unfortunately. But that was, I had only lived in the district for a month when I announced last time. I've been in for several years now, and I've been going to as many events as there are, when there's a ribbon cutting, when there's anything, going
You've been grinding, dude.
Oh, yeah.
And there was an advantage to you, and this has come up a number of times. People said to me, why have you announced so early? There is an advantage to announcing early. And it's getting your message and your platform, and the phrase is, and I hate the phrase, but it's the phrase, pressing flesh. You've been doing that, dude. You've been shoe leather on the streets. You got to take
a page from Rob Bell. Rob Bell might be the best legislator in the state of Virginia.
That dude knows how to campaign.
He crushes campaign. He won by 23% last year.
Yeah, he crushes campaigns.
And he knows, he maintains the contact, he sends out the thank you letters. I've never had anybody volunteer for me any way affiliated with Rob Bell and them not call me up and say, I just got a handwritten note from Rob Bell.
Yeah, dude.
Rob the guy Bell crushes.
In the freezing cold, Rob, we got to get you on the show here. Rob Bell in the freezing cold with his son holding up billboards on the side of the road saying thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
After the election.
After the election. Not to get votes, but after the election, Rob Bell was doing that. That was legit.
Yeah, so we need that. So I try and model a lot of what I do politically off of Rob, not in messaging. Rob has a much more moderate message, but he doesn't, he's never tried to run for local Albemarle office.
No.
He doesn't have to deal with just how radical the agenda is. I mean, they are constantly trying to introduce new programs here. Maybe Rob deals with more of that in Richmond, but locally, we get to taste it. I mean, we really get to feel it's your neighbor with a barn that says, I have to knock down my barn if they enact this because I'm not putting up the safety measures that they're saying that are outrageous, like a ramp and everything else for a barn that they use once a year for when their family and friends visit or whatever. That's the kind of decision people are making. Do I burn down my own barn to avoid some sort of regulatory fine that I'm going to get because there's no guardrails?
Neil has shared a link from the Free Enterprise Forum, posted or published just a few days ago, the headline, Albemarle wants to know how it should raise taxes, the catch-22 of unscientific surveys. I'm going to take the link from Neil and I will post it all over the I Love CVille Network in the comments section. I'm doing that now. As I'm posting that, Judah, I'd like to go to the 3-shot with you and get some of your perspective on the show, please.
Anything in particular?
What's tickled your fancy?
What did you notice anything about what Jerry just said? The way you phrased that question, how should we get more tax revenue? Like that, there's no should we. It's how are we going to get more flesh?
How do we milk this?
How? So do you have? I mean, what do you think?
What do you think?
The way that they phrase it, not should we? Do you think that we
You're
should do the assessment?
You're talking about Neil's headline.
Yeah, the Neil's headline, but Neil's headline represents
How
the
should
mentality
it raise
of the.
taxes?
Huh?
Neil's headline says Albemarle I'll read it verbatim.
How should they raise taxes? That's
How
what
should it raise taxes?
Yeah. The better question would have been, should Albemarle County raise taxes? That's how I would have asked that question.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that a lot of Albemarle citizens would say, you are talking way past the sale. They were $10 million over the required funds last year. Was it 10 or 8? It was millions of dollars, and it's been that way for a decade. And the question is still, how should we raise taxes next year? Not what should we do with the extra taxes that we took last year?
So Neil, I've shared, go ahead, Judah, go ahead here in a second. I've shared that link.
Sorry, Judah, for jumping on.
I've shared that link on LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm sharing it on 15 Facebook pages. J-Dubs, jump in here.
I think about how much I love having Jesse
Rutherford
on the show, because I always hear him talking about, oh yeah, we've got a surplus. We're not planning on raising the taxes for Nelson County. We've got what we need. We're doing well. Can we have some of that, please? Can we have some some conservative spending and actual saving? I mean, this is the problem, that the disconnect between government and the people is that we save, and we have to, and the government just they take more money. It's like there's no they don't understand what it's like, and I wish there was some way to force.
Well, there is a way to force.
It's called a ballot box.
Yeah, it's called elections. And this is where the hashtag elections matter is...
and that may work in small localities, but it seems that in the large, the higher up you go, the more people just, the more politicians just, I don't know if they give up or if...
it's just a machine. Is what happens.
Bureaucracy.
And it's bureaucracy. It's an unstoppable machine. It's almost like the invisible hand of capitalism, this invisible bureaucratic machine that you cannot stop. It's almost like, and Keith Smith makes this reference all the time, like what's he do with the freight, the shipping, the big ship in the ocean? It's much more difficult to take. What's the biggest ship in the ocean that's carrying all the stuff called?
Probably a super tanker.
Like a super tanker.
Yeah.
Pivoting and turning a super tanker is freaking brutal. But a
mile
sailboat you can do. And local government is the sailboat in that analogy, where the shipping container, the shipping tanker, is like the federal government and the Commonwealth,
Right.
the Commonwealth's government. So this, to Steve's point and to your point, the most important level or aspect of government is here is at the grassroots level. That's why, like, dudes that are like, or dudettes, guys or gals, that are looking to run, they legitimately can make real policy changes.
If they can get into office.
And this is tough. Where you're going to go Democrat stranglehold? Is that the road you want to go down here? Show's yours, Steve.
I would love if there was some way to break it up. And they've been doing the redistricting, and I spent weeks looking at the maps, and I'm going to have to spiritually rely on a shift in perspective from the voter base. And I see some stuff come out of Reuters or, some of these polling agencies, and they say that, middle America is shifting conservative, is shifting Republican, is understanding that things have gotten too far, that government is growing too quickly, that the bureaucracy is getting so dense that it's hard for people to do business. And because the people in Old Trail and the people in Crozet are deciding what happens for all of Whitehall.
I mean, Old Trail in a lot of ways is deciding Whitehall.
It's huge. And I hope, I pray, and I'm going to be knocking on those doors again over the next 2 years. And if you have a business and you're worried about this, Steve Harvey for steveharveyvirginia.com, donate. I am starting to fundraise in the next couple months here. I'm going to be doing it for 2 years. We are going full court press. We're going to do all the ads. We're going to have Facebook and Twitter, and we're going to be on Jerry Miller and Joe Thomas and all the other competitors. We're going to be everywhere talking about this. And I think the needle is turning. I think that those numbers, those hot numbers I posted up 2 years ago, are just the tip of the iceberg. I hope that Ann runs again because I want to hold her accountable. I'm excited for the debates. I can't wait to hear her explain why she thought that she could just take away your Second Amendment rights in this county. And the reason, oh my goodness, Jerry, I talked about the reason last time. Somebody thought that this was.
We hosted one of those debates with you and Ann. Remember that debate?
It was a great debate.
And Supervisor Malik on the show.
Yeah.
That was. How would you describe that debate?
I'd have to go back and watch it. I would remember I was behind the.
Yeah, I know. I was sitting in the middle here. The friction was palpable.
It was perfect.
It's
It was
how I would
holding
characterize
government
it.
accountable. It was asking questions that were refused to answer at supervisor meetings. I went through. I said, here's another statement that people made that in front. Sorry.
Was that the back?
Yeah, my back's a little bit messed up. But
right.
I'm excited for the debates. I wanna hold our elected officials to task. I want them to have to explain why they did the things they did, why they need so much money, why over the last 8 to 10 years they've had surpluses of $5 to $15 million almost every single year, and they still are talking about tax increases every single year. They're not taking a page from Jesse's book going, we had enough, we don't need to bleed this rock dry. And Albemarle has the exact opposite perspective. We need to get some variety of voice and perspective on there. I know you want that, Jerry. I think that most of Albemarle, if you could put them in a quiet room with me or with you or with anybody that has a more centrist perspective, a not so extreme leftist perspective, that's an extreme leftist perspective. Most of America does not believe that you should ban all firearms in every way possible, right? That's what the county of Albemarle did. They banned firearms as much as they could legally. I think that it was unconstitutional. There's no reason they have to take that action. They have no evidence that it's going to produce better results. They have no evidence that it was producing poor results before they took their action. And I just can't wait to have that sitting across the table and go, Ann, when you banned firearms, you said it was because some friend of yours thought that somebody may have had a firearm legally at a Board of Supervisor meeting, so they left. That's why you don't have the Second Amendment anymore. We are 15 miles from the founding of that with Monticello and, James Madison. And these guys lived right around the corner, and the supervisors representing their ancestral home are shredding the Constitution because a friend was uncomfortable for 5 minutes. We fought a war against the superpower of the globe to get these rights, and a friend was uncomfortable, so we're taking them away. Judah, what do you think of that, buddy? I know that you're not a gun nut, but I don't consider myself a gun nut, but
Judah, I don't want to speak for you. Denise Ramey, welcome to the program. He says buy a house from Steve to help him fundraise.
Yeah, that's true.
Hello, Denise Ramey. Welcome to the program. You have a fantastic website, Denise.
Denise is crushing, by the way. Denise is now the president of Virginia Association of Realtors. And me on Denise's team, we did $92 million in transactions last year.
I mean, the boss is watching. I hope you got that number right.
Denise crushes. She's very, very good at this.
Okay, so a couple things I want to get out on air. We're live on 15 Facebook pages, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, LinkedIn, 15 Twitter accounts, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, everywhere on social media. I think it's important we close on this. This is a topic that you'll be able to offer perspective on. One of the resolutions, and I'm not a big fan of resolutions, but one of the priorities for 2022 was weaving this man's big, beautiful brain in the mix more. I'm pointing to you there, J-Dubs. And I think we've done a good job of that, and I've heard the viewers and listeners have responded positively to that. So, Youngkin. Okay, so I will say this. You are seeing in Virginia, and the governor's race was an indication of this, a shift in ideology and a shift at the booth, the voters booth. You're seeing Virginians in a lot of ways become, I think, more centrist, and you are seeing the Trump stigma become less influential at the ballot box.
Indeed.
McAuliffe, from a political strategy standpoint, tried to paint Youngkin as a Trumpster, right? We're all in agreement here.
Yeah.
That backfired on McAuliffe because we have now distanced ourselves from the Trump term, and the Trump nature of politics are resonating not as much with Virginians. So here's where I'm going with this. I do agree with you that the 5-6 years ago, the Republican label, was in certain circles, especially around these parts.
It was the R word.
It was almost a bad word.
It was the R word.
It was the R word. It was almost a bad
You are
word.
a Republican.
Right,
Like, people
right.
used to say it as an insult.
It was almost a bad word.
They don't say it anymore.
It is becoming,
I'm sure some of them do.
Some,
yeah,
but
in this area, it's right.
they're extremists.
It's becoming less.
Yeah.
It's becoming less of that. So why do you think, I'm curious of your take, why do you think Youngkin won?
Well, probably, what was it, 4 or 5 words? I don't think parents should decide what the schools teach. Whatever that phrase was. This organization right here, AFP, they're doing a class on helping to shape school agendas, I believe, this Saturday. So shout out to AFP. They're over by, don't remember the name of it, but they're here in town. Google them. It'll pop right up. AFP did about 1.5 million phone calls for Youngkin. The Family Foundation knocked on, I think, 250,000 doors or something like that, something outrageously high. If you look at a couple of these freedom-based liberty organizations, and then the Family Foundation is mostly about school choice and promoting, I would say, non-CRT school stuff.
Talk to me about masks.
Masks in schools should be a decision between parents and students. I don't think...
Kids and parents.
Kids and parents. And I'm honestly shocked that the students haven't revolted on this. I think if you had told me and my classmates in 2001 that you have to strap this on your face every day, and we would have just said no after like a couple days. I think if everybody threw them out on the way in through the door, like a couple of popular kids I knew would have been the leaders of the group, and they would have said, "I'm throwing mine in the trash. Are you, Steve?" And I would have went, "Sure, Brandon." And like that would have been it. Like everybody would have. I actually had a friend, Brandon. That wasn't it.
I had no doubt that there was a Brandon.
but no, I think that I'm shocked that there hasn't been some sort of civil disobedience from the high schoolers. Where is the fight, kids? They can't kick y'all out if you guys just say we're not interested in this.
Americans for Prosperity, they are located on Greenbrier Drive.
That's right, Greenbrier.
Brittany Gray just posted that in the feed. We have very smart viewers and listeners.
Saturday, they're teaching a class. There should be something posted on their website about it. But it's about how to better influence your local school boards. And I recently went on a leadership forum with Victoria Cobb, I think is one of the heads of Family Foundation. And they are doing excellent work. They have excellent eyes on the 2023 election. They're looking at Congress this year, but looking forward, they're looking at the school board races. And that's what this Commonwealth has needed for a while now. A lot of people complain about school choice and about what are the schools that aren't public but are kind of public?
Charter schools?
Charter schools. Right now, in the state of Virginia, if your school board votes for it, you can get a charter school right now. Did you know that?
One of the viewers right now, Brittany Gray, who's watching a program, she's a realtor with Nest Realty. She's a huge proponent of charter schools. She's itching to do a charter school. Brittany, correct me if I'm wrong, itching to do a charter school in Fluvanna County. Brittany Gray, who's watching the program right now, led the charge in Fluvanna for empowering parents, returning autonomy with masking in Fluvanna County. And Fluvanna County,
Go get them, Brittany.
Fluvanna County, its school board, which in a lot of
Yeah.
ways is democracy at the very grassroots level, school boards making these decisions in controversial fashion, Fluvanna County returned the power or the autonomy to parents and not and away from the mandate scenario. You were going to say something. I didn't. What was on your brain over there that you were going to say moments ago?
I don't know.
You lost. Anything you want to offer there?
We've moved past there. Let's see. I don't know what I was going to say. I think I was responding to one or the other of you.
We're talking about school choice a bit here,
Choice,
but it comes down to
about
yeah,
the kids. You know,
About Brandon.
Brandon.
Yeah.
I'd love it if
Brandon
that,
Wishon, that's his actual.
I think
Now
part
he's
of it-
called out.
I think
Hey,
part of it is
Brandon.
that there's a lot of peer pressure. Not just peer pressure. What's the word I'm looking for?
Social stigma?
Not sure. What are you saying?
I think that I think a lot of younger people are leaning left, more left than right, certainly, and so a lot of them are for the mask mandates, and there's a lot of pressuring around those kinds of things, and so I'm not surprised that kids are just going along with it, and like you said, for a while the R word was a dirty word.
Was a bad word.
Yeah, and so I think kids that had family or themselves tending towards conservatism knew to keep their heads down, especially especially in the last couple of years.
Yeah, last
well,
6 days. Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
you said, Trump became I think a large portion of America still likes Trump. A large portion of America likes the fact that he wasn't a politician, and if he became one at the end, well, can you really blame him? And whatever he's being accused of now, he's still being accused of it. I don't think he hasn't actually been.
No, they change what they accuse him of on a
We'll get off.
monthly
We're
cycle.
regressing here. We're regressing here. We'll get off Trump. We're regressing here. Real estate market. You got a ton of agents here. Real estate market. What have you seen? Boots on the street.
I've seen.
He's a realtor.
I've seen algorithms that used to produce 35 results now producing 4 when you go on the MLS. I've seen
What do you mean producing results?
You're saying how much is
the
for sale?
number of results. You set up
you're
your
saying
algorithm. You
search
get it.
criteria.
Yeah, you get a new
Search
client.
criteria,
You bring them
okay.
in. You talk about all the things they're interested in. You put together the algorithm and you hit enter, and it gets 0. And so you go, ooh, I better loosen it up a little bit. And so let's broaden the amount of money. Let's say the acreage could be all the way down to a 1/4 acre and up to 7 acres. Like, let's expand it. You keep on giving in on the things that the client said that were really important, and eventually you end up with an algorithm producing like 1 or 2 results, neither of which your client wants because you already expanded the outline. It's very frustrating, and it's very confusing about how does it shift back to something that somebody who wants to get a regular mortgage is going to be able to effectively pursue a home purchase. I think it will get back to that. I've got a number of clients that just have a very specific house they're looking for, single floor, that, they're older, that they need that. They've got a 2-story right now that they're trying to sell, but they can't sell. They can't sell until they have somewhere else to live. And there's a lot of that going on. And so you think that there's going to be a dam break kind of moment where 15 houses come on the market, and that makes 15 more come on the market when the purchases start happening and there's some liquidity that increases. But it's a very, very aggressive market, and it has not slowed down as far as how quick the sales go much at all. In the
You're
last
a
6 months.
buyer's agent.
Yeah, as a buyer's agent, it is cutthroat. And I mean, me and the other buyer's agents I work with, we have sharp teeth at this point. When the house comes up, my emails go out 15 minutes after the house goes on the market, and I'm booking people to come look at these places. If you want to buy a house, you need an agent that is on the ball. Otherwise, your offer isn't going to get in.
If you're going to buy a house, you need an agent that's on the ball, or you need to be ready to pay some serious cash, if not make an all-cash offer.
Or you're going to buy something you don't like. You got to find an agent that you trust, that's going to tell you the truth, that's going to say, look, at this number you get the house, at this number you don't get the house.
Is this a healthy market?
No, not at all. Not even close. I've got clients that have been looking for over a year and a half for a house, and there is no house that they could have purchased.
Are they millennials?
No, most of them are older.
Wow.
Most of them are retirees or heading towards retirement. I have one younger couple that is, they're looking to build now, and it's just like they looked for a year to buy something. They had a very broad set of options, but now they're looking for land, and they're just going to build their own thing if they can find land. But you know how the land market is around here.
Land's expensive. So you see that changing?
Yeah.
You see these trends changing when it comes to real estate?
It's hard to say. The increasing in mortgage rates are going to, I would assume, would
Diminish
slow it
the
down
buyer
a
pool?
little bit, but there's such a backlog of people shopping, and the builders are all backlogged by 2 years as well. The only way I see us coming out into sort of a healthy sunrise from this is if we see builders logging the most hours ever and just producing tons of new houses. Because all these people that are being priced out of the market that are now looking in Greene and Waynesboro and anywhere outside Albemarle County, largely, they need a house to buy, and then they're going to go there. And they're building like gangbusters.
Brittany Gray is, I like your style, Brittany Gray, looking to close a deal in the comment section of one of our Facebook pages here.
Oh, yeah?
She says, Steve, come see us at Stanley Martin. Agents on our VIP list get first dibs. I'm at Brook Hill. We have villas coming soon. We're happy to show them to you.
I feel like...
Closing deals, Brittany. On the comment section. I like it.
I can feel Denise's blood boiling. She's like,
She's watching right now.
I'm the number one in Crozet. How can you say that? When people are looking to sell their house, I'm sorry, but when people are looking to sell their house in my territory, they call Denise first. That's how it goes.
Denise, we love you on this program. You know we do, Denise. All right, why don't we wrap up the show here? Steve Harvey always brings perspective to the I Love CVille Network. Judah, we'll give you some closing thoughts here first. Senor Steve Harvey, anywhere you want to go? Close the show, dude. You've brought the fireworks from start to finish. You better grand finale right now.
Grand finale. Americans demand freedom and choice. You guys have to use your voice, your vote. It's 2 years away though. Right now, come to one of my fundraisers. Shoot me an email. It's Steve Harvey, supersteveharvey1@gmail.com, sharvey2@gmail.com, steveharveyvirginia.com. Get engaged. We're rebuilding the Republican Party in the area, and I'm trying to stay central to that. We've got a new chairman coming in the next 2 months for the Republican Party here. He's very interested in finding candidates running for school board, finding candidates to run for board of supervisors. He's salivating over the thought of maybe converting Jerry. I'm telling you, it's a tough row to hoe, but as Republicans...
Jerry hasn't tied himself to any party yet.
But
Jerry has not tied... I have not tied myself to any party yet.
As the Overton window shows us, that left is crazier and crazier and right is more and more reasonable, maybe we can get guys like Jerry to come over to the light side. Anyway, check out steveharveyvirginia.com. Shoot me an email if you have if you want to talk about real estate or you want to talk about politics. I'm super excited for whoever I'm going to get to debate about all the crazy changes the Board of Supervisors have been doing here. I want to give a shout out to my wife who's carrying Harvey 4.
She's a superstar. I met her.
She is. She's a classical pianist superstar who paused her studio for piano to raise the twin boys that, are the two boys of the apocalypse. for our house at least. You know, obviously they're the best sons I could get.
Is it difficult? Dude, we have one.
It comes and goes. It really comes and goes.
We have one, and it's very difficult.
They're potty trained now. Like
That's great.
Carl's potty trained.
Carl's potty trained.
This was astonishing. He can sleep through the night with underwear on.
Good job, Carl.
Guys, you don't know what that's like.
How old is Carl?
Carl just turned 3.
That's big time.
He's big time, especially for.
Until I was 7.
What's Carl's twin brother's name?
Steven.
Is Steven potty trained yet?
He's working on it.
He's working on it.
Stephen 3 has got some ways to go, but Carl's leading the way, and Sasha's at the helm. And then, you know.
She's the oldest.
Yeah, Sasha's the oldest. And
what's 4.0? What's Steve Harvey 4?
We haven't figured it
a
out.
Boy,
yet.
are you going to find out?
We waited for Sasha, and that was incredible.
Oh, Sasha was a surprise. You had no
Sasha
idea?
was a surprise.
Wow.
She came out in the bag. Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
She still had the umbilical. Yeah. She came out. It was like something from a sci-fi movie. And my wife was this monster, this beast. The nurses or the midwives. Kate, slow down, slow down. And then Sasha just falls out because Kate was standing while she did it, like the birthing process while standing. And Sasha just drops out. The woman catches her. I think that was Esther that caught her.
And that's how that's literally how you found out she was a girl.
Well, she came out, and when you're in the bag, it looks like it's an alien egg or something. Like, it really doesn't look like a person. And she was halfway out, and I'm like, this was my face, I'm sure. And then all of a sudden, the bag broke, and there's this beautiful baby girl, and you're just, oh my goodness, the whole world changed. And then I'm, cuddling with her on the couch. But sorry, I got way off base. We were supposed to go. Anyway, Steve Harvey, Virginia. Shout out to my beautiful wife, Kate, the 3 kids that are already running around, and the one that's just doing twirls in the belly. And anyway, I'll be on Jerry again to talk about all the craziness the supervisors are doing. Hopefully Jerry lets me back.
Judah, you bring it. Every time you come on, you bring it. 2 weeks. What is Paul saying? Paul McCarter of Avenue is watching. I'm not. What are you guys referring to here? We don't need a strong Democrat or Republican Party. We need to weaken both. Is what Paul McCarter said.
I was just going to say that the right and the left can both be pretty insane at times. And
True.
My closing thought would be go out, talk to someone you wouldn't normally talk to, hear a perspective you disagree with, and be kind and gentle about it, and have an interesting conversation that you wouldn't normally have. Maybe learn something, maybe teach something.
Joanne Mackey says, too much information. Too much information.
Come on, this is life. It's beautiful.
She's of the Scottsville district, a neighbor of mine. Joanne Mackey, we love you. We love you, Joanne Mackey. And I'll close by saying I respect and appreciate all perspectives on this show, and Steve Harvey certainly brought some energy and some perspective, and I think he brought many valid points to the program.
Thanks for having me on, Jerry.
It was our pleasure. It was our pleasure. Judah Wickhauer, thank you for your perspective as well. Tomorrow we are back at 10:15 a.m. with Real Talk, and then the I Love CVille Show at 12:30 here on the I Love CVille Network. You guys have a good afternoon. Take care. Very well done.